Well, I've done one of these switchers already. Um, there's a lot to it. The second one should go a lot faster though. So I want to show the innards, since once it's together, they're not as easy to get apart. Now, I've taken the body off it. The cab portion comes off separate. The one that's on there, some of this, the weight is sticking up above, and I really don't want to, in this installation, take out the detail that's inside the cab. I want to leave it as factory as possible. So as you can see, this is just pretty much one big weight, and I've modified it once already to accept a Z-size decoder, so that kind of lets you know just how much room I'm working with here. Pretty small stuff. Even putting that in was pretty difficult. Originally, the pickups had a spring that came across here, and off of the truck there were two little posts sticking up that would rub on that spring, and this half would pick up one half of the current, and this side would pick up the other. And that's why the light was in here the way it was. It just slide right in here, and it pinches up underneath these two, and that's how it picks up its power. But I'd gone in and sanded off all the contact material and ran wires. Now I'll pop it open here in a minute so you can see inside, but the wires have to run around the motor side and then through. There was always a small gap built into the design so the two halves wouldn't short against each other. But now the weight is dead. It's just weight. That's the way I wanted to keep it. And the metal portions of the pickup inside, down inside there, you can see I soldered a wire on each side. I loop it around, and then it makes its way down to the center and then up through the crack in between to the decoder. Now with the sound installation, what I need to do is remove all of this, and I'll have just a tiny bit of each one of these, what's left of the metal, to help center the tank. Put all the small parts in here, and the speaker comes in its own little plastic enclosure that I seal up a little bit more and then slide inside here and cut a big hole in the bottom. But it's so large that it actually ends up going somewhat into the side of this little tank right here, just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this open, and because there's absolutely nowhere to put the decoder with the way it's presently designed, and especially since the speaker's going down here. Here's the inside of the weight before it was around like this and enclosed. And there's two little plastic spacers, two little springs that help hold the other half, the worm gear, in place. It's got nice big flywheels. So once you see how that's put together, I'll pop that out. So there's the motor. Put that aside. And then I got the light. is in there pretty tight. Okay. And that's what's left of the old decoder. I'm sure it works. I just need to put a new shrink wrap on it. And we have the trucks. So when you get to looking at this, I'm going to look at this side because this is, well, I guess it doesn't matter what side, but when you get to looking at it, you can see that there's not much room in here at all. I don't have the second decoder yet, but the only area that I've got here is right here, right along this edge. And I still want to be able to plug the light up underneath here. I like how that holds it. I can still take the body off without too much trouble. So what I do is I'll mark a line on there and go just below it, and then another line just above the inside there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mill a slot all the way down, and on the last one I took just a little bit off here too, so when it's together you see nothing but a slot, and the decoder will slide in on an angle down into that slot. And up here I've got a little bit of a pad that I can solder all my wires and tuck them down below, because even these little tiny notches that were molded in here are for the features that go on the outside here, the two stacks and the bell. And so I end up even have to clip those a little bit so when they set they don't go all the way in and interfere. So that's what I'm going to do next, is mark those up. I went ahead and marked the areas that need to be milled out. You can see I've got a little bit of this edge along here I take off, and then the slot all the way down. The decoder says it's 0.26 wide. I think that's just a little wider than it actually is. I've got it at 2.5, and you can see already that I'm going to end up overlapping into some area there. And like I said, that's absolutely the only area I could find to put any decoder, let alone a sound one. So this is an example where the Loke sound has quite a bit of an advantage, because I really don't think, without cutting the whole front upper corner off, that I would get any other type of decoder in there. And even then it wouldn't control the motor functions as well, just the sound. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up in the mill here and do some milling.